What does it take to leave a successful finance career and build a clean home care brand from the ground up? Welcome to Industry Ignited. I'm your host, Dr. Leeanne Aguilar. And today I'm joined by Anu Luthra, CEO, founder, and inventor of Lumehra, a Canadian clean living brand creating eco-friendly, non-toxic, plant-based home cleaning products. Anu, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thank you, Leeanne.
Now, you began your career in finance in New York and Toronto. What inspired you to leave that world and step into entrepreneurship?
A great question. Honestly, it was a combination of things. I felt burnt out, but more than that, I always was drawn to being an entrepreneur, and I always felt out of place in the corporate world. I grew up in a family business, so entrepreneurship was very familiar to me. I saw the hard work, the risk, the responsibility that comes with building something yourself. Even while I was working in finance, I always felt that I was meant to create something of my own. Finance gave me a strong foundation, especially with numbers, discipline, risk, decision making. But I wanted something to build. I wanted to build something that was more purpose. I wanted to create a brand that reflected my values, solved a real problem, and gave me the freedom to make decisions in a more meaningful way.
Okay, so was entrepreneurship something that you had thought about for a long time then, prior to actually becoming one?
It was something that was always in the back of my mind. It wasn't something that I felt was out of bounds. It
Mm-hmm.
felt as if it was calling me because, again, I grew up in a family business, so it wasn't something that was foreign to me, or where I felt that no, that's not something I could do, because it felt like it was a natural step. But I hadn't figured out what that entrepreneurial journey and what that world would look like.
Right. Okay. So just what direction and exactly what maybe like products or service that you would, sell
Yeah,
basically. Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. But then, like you mentioned, having that strong foundation in finance helped you learn the ropes as far as how to manage the business, how to determine risk, like you mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's advantage of working in a corporate environment where there's a lot of structure that's built as part of your learning experience. But there's also disadvantages for working in a corporate environment for me.
Uh-huh.
But I think in finance, one of the things is that you're very drawn to understanding what numbers mean versus just looking at a number on a spreadsheet and saying, oh, that's just the return or something. It's understanding, how did you get that? And I think having that as a background really made me look at margins and cash flow and risk in a very different, more meaningful way as a business owner.
Right. Yeah. And I think that does give you an advantage. A lot of business owners, I think, don't have that foundation. And so it's not as intuitive when it comes to making those kind of decisions or reading your reports and really understanding what they mean and what decisions to make based on off those numbers. So yeah, I think, yeah, that's a great foundation to have. So your first product was a laundry hamper, which became a major learning experience. What did that teach you about market validation and listening to the customer?
The laundry hamper was definitely a huge learning experience for me. The concept itself was good, but it didn't sell. Because one of the things I feel that it didn't sell is because it clearly didn't define who the customer was and what problem it was solving for the customer. Looking back, it was a great product, but without any purpose. It taught me one of the most important lessons in business today for me, where it's a good idea is not enough. The
Yeah.
customer has to immediately understand what problem the product solves and why the customer, needs it. That lesson stayed with me. Every product now has to have a very clear reason for existing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
what's our purpose? What's the real household problem that we're trying to solve? That's, fragrance sensitivity, convenience, cleaner ingredients. It has to have a defined purpose and why we're going to launch it.
Right. So basically solving a problem that doesn't already have a solution or a clear solution, or you're solving it in a way that others haven't solved it before.
Exactly. And also looking at it from a customer perspective of why do I need this product versus that product?
Yeah.
what makes Lumera's products different than our competitors. And having that understanding before we really go down the road of launching a product is extremely valuable.
Yeah. So does that lead you to more market testing then, or how are you finding out that information on what customers consider valuable or needed?
A lot of it is understanding the market and the highlights and really looking at what customers want. And we get that through one-on-one conversations with customers. We've done a lot of consumer shows. We reach out to a lot of our customer base and we ask those questions. Especially, we just recently did a consumer show about 2 weeks ago. And one of the big things that I always try to do, yes, introduce our line, introduce our products to new customers, but I want to listen and I want to hear what their issues are. Why they love the products that they currently use or why they don't love the products that they currently use. What are their challenges about
Right.
their laundry detergent, their dishwasher detergent, whatever it is, because they're going to give you the answers. You just have to be willing to listen. As a small business, we don't have the resources to do in depth market research. We don't. So we have to look at other ways to get what customers and our customers really are looking
Yeah. And without that internal bias is what I'm hearing too. Because often people fall in love with their own ideas, their own products, and don't really listen at that deep level. Because if you're listening at that a deep level to a customer, you're actually willing to pivot. You're willing to change your product or service and sometimes abandon the direction that you're heading in.
Absolutely. That's what the laundry hamper really taught me as a big lesson is that as much as it was something I was very, very emotionally attached to because it was something that you create, especially as your first product, the numbers don't lie. And
Hmm.
you have to be willing to take a very unemotional look at your products. And
Right.
that was the wake up call of saying, well, it's a great product and it's a great product for me, but that is not a business.
Yeah. Right. And that you said something I think super important there. It's like the numbers don't lie. And if people learn how to look at those numbers and understand the numbers, I mean, that's the language of business, right? It's numbers, tells you, gives you a lot of information and it removes the emotion out of
Yeah,
it too. So you're making decisions based on solid data, not on how you feel or what you think or the love of your own product, basically. So,
absolutely.
yeah, but you have to be objective, right? You have to be willing to separate yourself from that emotion at the same time and really believe the numbers too and understand, how to make decisions according to what they say. Yeah. So now moving into your next products, how did your family's skin and sensitivities lead you towards creating cleaner laundry and home care products?
I started essentially with the home care, with the laundry products, is because it was a personal impact in my life. My daughter and husband have tremendous amount of skin and scent allergies, which as a result made me look closer at the products that we were using every day. Laundry detergent being one of the biggest products because it touches everything: clothes, bedding, towels, so it's really impacting your daily life. And for us, because we have a personal impact to what type of laundry detergent we used before Lumera, we want to make sure that it made sense for us as a family. And that personal experience really pushed me to create products that were simpler, cleaner, and made without like heavy fragrance, bleach, dyes, or additives. So for us, it was, yes, even though I was working at that same time, working on the laundry hamper, there was an aspect about the laundry detergent, which just almost felt like it was a natural progression.
Mm, right. Yeah. And you had a strong why too.
Yes.
So your story and your purpose was
Yeah.
strong there. And that helps connect people too and helps differentiate your products when you do have that strong why for creating something.
Absolutely. And the lesson with the hamper still resonates today for me. And when, like, our first laundry detergent was our tea tree powder.
Hmm.
And it, at that point, even when I was sort of developing that detergent, we did look at it from a perspective of like, how do we get the cleanest ingredients we can? How do we get products that are still going to perform? And what is the format of the product? And those things had to be answered without realizing I was answering those questions. It was like, okay, I'm coming up with the powder. Through growth and understanding the changing market, that's also changed, but that is part of the process of developing.
Now, Lumehra's mission is clean, simple living. What does that mean in practical terms for your ingredients, packaging, and product design?
Great questions. For us, clean, simple living is removing what's unnecessary. It applies to our ingredients, packaging, and actual product experience. From a uh, ingredient perspective, we focus on plant and mineral based ingredients and avoid things like synthetic fragrance, dyes, bleach, phosphates, sulfates, and other additives that many customers are trying to avoid. From a product design perspective, it means making products that are easy to use and fit in real life. That is one of the reasons we're moving towards tablets versus powders, specifically because they're pre-measured, compact, mess-free, and convenient. And that was one of the things when we started our powders. At that point, people weren't so focused on the format of a product versus what we're finding now is customers want convenience. They still
Mm-hmm.
want quality, they still want clean ingredients, but convenience is a huge part of their decision making. So that's sort of like the progression of where we're going with like even the format of the products. With packaging, we're always thinking about how to reduce waste, avoid unnecessary plastic. The goal is always to make, you know, all our products from start to finish feel simpler, cleaner, calmer, and more intentional.
Okay. Right. And like you said, you're really intentional about avoiding toxins, synthetics, palm oil, sulfates, phosphates, bleach, and dye in your products. And so are your products, are they the single use? Are they like the pods and the single use type products?
Our tablets they're single use in the sense that like our products are, for example, like our tablets are, even though they're single use tablets, there's no plastic film around them. So that was intentional. We could have gone down the road of doing a pod or a laundry sheet, which is cheaper, but again, it's not who we are. We're not going to take a road that doesn't make sense to us. Doing a tablet does take longer to develop, is a bit more expensive because there's nothing holding the product together. Pods and sheets are very easy to make, but again, intentionally, we look at who we are as a company and ensuring that both environmentally we're standing up to our principles with purpose and really looking at it from that perspective, we could not have done pods.
Got it. Right. So it conflicts with your mission.
Exactly.
And yeah, is what I'm hearing. Right. So you started, I think, with powders. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then you expanded into tablets and kitchen products. What customer insights drove that evolution?
A lot of it was what we're finding with, customers are looking for convenience. And that's why if you look at market data, as much as we could get market data, regardless of the brand, regardless whether it's a natural product or a conventional product, if you look at just the format of the product, and liquids are still the top selling format, but then after that, pods and sheets are rapidly growing. And part of that reason is because of convenience. And that we wanted to take that data and say, yes, there's a convenience factor, but how do we make it better?
Right.
And that's why we took
Yeah.
the tablets.
Yeah. And they're pre-measured. So I'm guessing, the clients or customers are saving on product based as well if they're just using the amount that they actually need and not overusing the product. And
Exactly.
it's, yeah, more convenient. Like you said, it's cleaner. I mean, I use the liquid detergent still, and it's like messy and I always end up with like sticky liquid, residue around the bottom of the little cup. And yeah, so I get that. But the tablet form, you're saying you're not using the plastics, and it's more environmentally friendly and more friendly to sensitive skins and stuff as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the challenge that we have is where people are not familiar with why pods and sheets are not environmentally friendly. And so part of our challenge is really educating customers on what's the difference between, if the format is the same, meaning convenience is the same, but
Right.
environmentally it's completely different products. So we have a challenge where we really have to take the time and educate customers on that pods and sheets, whether again natural or conventional, They're all made with pretty much all made with a plastic film called polyvinyl alcohol. And we really talk about that impact to not only the environment, but the long term impact, the cyclical impact to our food system. You know, all the plastic that's still being dissolved or partially dissolved in our waterways does come back
Yeah.
to us in a food form.
Right.
You know, and those are the things that we really try to educate customers on, whether they're using our tablets or some another competitors. We're still trying to make the environment, like people to make conscious decisions that also have an environmental impact.
Yeah. So in a crowded cleaning products market, how do you, get the word out and differentiate Lumera from both conventional brands and other natural competitors as well?
Big question. It is tough because we are a small company, but we differentiate by being very specific about what we stand for. Lumera is not just about being natural. We focus on effective, eco-conscious cleaning products that are fragrance-free, PBA-free, and made with mineral and plant-based ingredients. When we're having conversations with customers, we do talk about other products. We'll say like a lot of conventional products still rely heavily on fragrance, harsh ingredients to create the feeling of clean. We want to move away from that. Clean does not need to smell strong to work. So that's one of the things, regarding conventional products. We really try to focus on that. Compared to natural competitors, we focus on the fact that we are a tablet uh, based product. We're not using PBAs like many pods and sheets, but we're still giving you the convenience without the plastic. We also focus on the fact that we're Canadian owned, Canadian made, women owned, which is something I'm proud of. And it really does give Lumera a strong sense of purpose and quality and trust.
Now you've grown through retail, e-commerce, distributors, and select US opportunities. What has been the most effective in building traction?
I would say, I think what's helped us the most is a combination of education, customer feedback, and being open to different channels. Retail has been important because customers can discover our products in stores and they already trust the retailer. Um, for e-commerce, it's been important because it allows us to tell the full story, educate customers, build direct relationship with customers. Distributors, it helps us to reach out to more retailers, but you still have to support the product with education and marketing. For traction, traction has come with helping people understand why we're different, why fragrance free matters, why PBA matters, why tablets are different from pods and sheets, why customers, once customers understand the purpose, the product becomes much easier to connect.
Yeah. And with your e-commerce platforms, are you offering subscriptions so people can order on a regular basis?
Yes. So we're very conscious of like our e-commerce channel and how to maximize it. Yes, for sales, but also for convenience for customers. So we do offer subscription based where it's easier for the customer. We do offer like multi-buys, bundles, things that are really going to help the customer not only try our products but stay with us and have that customer retention and order and give value for the customer.
So how do you decide when to manufacture in-house versus partnering with outside manufacturers?
It really comes down to capability, quality, cost, and scale. In the beginning, when you're starting out, you want a lot of control, as much control as possible because you're still learning the product, learning the customer behavior, and the process. But as you grow, you have to be realistic about what can be done efficiently in-house and where outside manufacturers can support scale. The most important thing is that manufacturers, at least for us, our manufacturers partner has to align with our standards. We are very intentional about our ingredients, our
Right.
performance, product quality, so we can't compromise on that just to scale faster.
Yeah, right. So, like you said, it's selecting manufacturers who are aligned with your vision and who are using natural products in themselves, is what I'm
Yeah.
hearing. Yeah. Now, you've used consultants and project based experts instead of building a large team. Has that helped you stay lean and strategic?
Using consultants and like project based experts, it's helped us because it lets us stay flexible. As a growing brand, you need a lot of different expertise, but you may not need every role as a full time role. The approach of having consultants and project based experts allows us to bring in the right person for a specific project at the right time, whether it's
Hmm.
formulation, packaging, marketing, retail strategy, compliance or operations. It helps us access like specialized knowledge without building too much overhead. Especially we're still a growing brand. It also forces me to be very strategic. I have to be very clear about what we need, what problem we're solving for, and what outcome I'm looking
Yeah. Well, that makes sense, right? So you're just or contracting with people for a limited time, so it saves on costs as opposed to bringing in a full-time person. So it cuts down on your overhead, and at the same time, you have access to that specialized knowledge, as you mentioned. And you're also, I mean, you can use multiple students to get a wider range of insight and expertise.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
for us what it's been is that at different phases that we've been on our growth journey, we need a strategic partner or a consultant that is knowledgeable for that phase, but
Hmm.
not necessarily for three sort of phases down the road because we need to understand and get the first phase correct and do it right. And again, as a small brand, there's limitations. Or it's
Right.
cash flow limitations. There's a lot of limitations. So you have to do it very strategically.
Yeah. And how do you go about finding and selecting which consultants you engage with?
A lot of it is word of mouth. I usually reach out to my sort of network of entrepreneurs who have worked with similar people for projects that they've used. Otherwise, I'll use a software platform, online platform, to really find somebody that I can't find in my network of entrepreneurs.
Okay. And as you expand across Canada and into the US, what challenges are you navigating around pricing, logistics, and cross-border growth?
There's a lot of moving parts. Pricing is a big one because you want the product to be accessible, but you have to be accountable for the manufacturing costs, packaging, shipping, everything. So that makes it really challenging with pricing. Logistics right now, it's challenging, especially sometimes we're shipping across Canada and we're also looking at opportunities in the US. So shipping cost right now, especially with the past, prices of gasoline are very, very challenging for a small brand. Cross border growth is exciting, but there's a lot of things that you have to do and understand really well, and you have to be careful. You
Hmm.
have to understand like compliance, customer pricing, the exchange rate, what the impact that's going to do to your margins, and
Right.
whether economically it works. Growth is not just about getting into more places; it's about being sustainable.
Yeah. Well, of course, if you're not sustainable, then you won't be able to go into other places. You won't exist, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, what is your vision for Lumera over the next few years as you expand into new home care categories?
My vision for Lumera is to become a trusted clean home brand for families and ingredient conscious customers who want effective products without like unnecessary fragrance and harsh chemicals. So we started with laundry, expanded tablets and dishwashing. I see us as continuing to grow more into home care categories where customers are looking for cleaner, simpler options. The goal is not just to create more products. The goal is to create products with purpose. Every product we create should have um, a real problem that it solves, and also at the same time, it should make it easier for people to create a healthier, cleaner home.
Yeah. And as a woman founder building a brand after a successful corporate career, what do you want other women entrepreneurs to know?
I want other women entrepreneurs to know that you don't have to have everything figured out before you start. A lot of confidence comes after you take action, not before. There will be moments whether you question yourself. There will be moments where something does not work or growth feels slow or you have to make hard decisions. That's part of building a business. I also think women need to trust that their experience has value. My finance background, my family experience, my customer conversations have all helped shape Lumera. Nothing was wasted. You can start again, you can pivot, you can build something meaningful, even if the path does not look perfect.
Yeah, that's great advice. Yeah. And finally, Anu, what advice would you give to founders about resilience, pivoting, and knowing the numbers are telling you it's time to change direction?
It's a hard lesson to learn, but I would say my advice is to stay emotionally committed to the mission, but not emotionally committed or attached to every product or idea. The laundry hamper, that's the lesson that it taught me. I believed in the concept, but customer response on the numbers were telling me something. I had to listen. Resilience is not about pushing harder. Sometimes resilience is about being willing to pivot, adjust, and admit that something's not working. That doesn't mean you failed. It means you're learning. And as a founder, you have to listen to three things: your customer, your numbers, and your instinct. When all three are pointing in the same direction, you need to really pay attention.
Yeah, that is very good advice. Yeah, thank you for that. And thank you for joining us. How can listeners learn more about you and Lumera?
Really, listeners can visit our website, learn more about Lumehra at lumehra.com, learn about our products, and of course, support a small business. They can also follow us on social media and sign up for our emails. We're growing, and we're always open to connecting with people who believe in cleaner, simpler homes. And that's our goal, is to make sure that people know that we're there, we have great products, and we're really there with intention and purpose.
Yeah. And Lumera is with an H, right? Will you spell that for us,
Yeah,
please?
sure. It's LUMEHRA.com.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you again, Anu. And thank you to our listeners for joining us and tuning into Industry Ignited. Be sure to subscribe and join us for the next episode. Until next time, stay bold, stay curious, and keep igniting industry.